So we as a company test a lot of things. And obviously, when you talk about marketing, marketing is all about testing. It's all about trying new things. It's about pushing the envelope. It's about innovating. And not everything works. And you celebrate your victories and you celebrate the losses because the losses are where all the lessons are. One of the things that we know is doing these breakout sessions, which we're going to do this afternoon, which we started at the January Elite 2 years ago. And now today, I don't even know if I have to show up to the January Elite because the group decides what they want to learn and they run all over the place and the whole thing becomes this just festival of contribution. We're doing that again today because we know it works. What I also know works is when I bring people to you like Tom Bilyeu as an example, or David Goggins, or in the past, Tony Robbins, or Brian Tracy. When I bring these people to you, it's not just because, hey, they're a pal, or, it's like in 2007, I'm calling Tony like, dude, the world's falling apart, and my clients need confidence. Remember that, Ruth? And I'm like, dude, I want you to come out and just do 3 hours of confidence building. And then we did that little breakout session with all of our clients, which was insane. That wasn't like, hey, I've got an extra $300,000 to spend. What shall I do with it? You with me? That was, I'm going to give away basically all the money I made in tickets to pay one guy to make sure that my clients get what they need in that moment. Does that make sense? Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm not kidding about how much ticket revenue I had when there was only 1,000 people at the summit, and I gave him all of it. And I was like, shit, that's not a good ROI, but you know what was a really good ROI? All of you. You were my ROI, watching you guys come out of that. As I was planning for this event, there was 3 people, Tim, that I knew I needed for 3 very specific reasons. Matthew Ferreira, the last guest speaker tomorrow, who's all about telling stories. And what do we know, Tim, is about telling stories to customers? Because the stories is what they remember when they start referring you. And Matthew is a masterful storyteller and gives you the art and science of telling stories. So if you recognize the value of a story brand, that's going to be a magical moment for you. That's why I brought him in. Jay Abraham, tomorrow morning at 8:30, was very intentional. Many reasons. First, one of the most recognizable marketing minds on the planet. How do you outthink? How do you outperform? How do you outmaneuver the competition? And Ruth, to give you the gift of, you didn't pay $10,000 to come to this seminar. You with me? But to go see him at a seminar, the only other one is Tony Robbins, and it's $10,000. And he does, 30 minutes. He's going to do 90 minutes with you guys. And for all my coaching members, he made me a little promise, so heads up, tell me if you like him tomorrow. He's like, I'd be willing to do like a conference call a month or a webinar and just answer all their questions. I was like, no. I immediately said, how much is that gonna cost? I'm like, I love you, brother, but I pay you a lot of money for my personal coaching with you. He's like, like 30 grand a month. I was like, well, if it's only 30 grand a month, I'll get Tim Smith to pay for it. Okay, good. Money bags. But you do those things because it brings value, right? But the one I'm the most excited about is the woman I'm going to introduce you to now. Okay, first of all, because of her swag, who she is, her demeanor, her mindset, she works, today for this company called Salesforce. Who knows the company Salesforce? Raise your hands really high. You have to be living under a rock to not know who Salesforce is. She joined that company several years ago after a legendary career at a consulting firm called Gartner, where, that's like McKinsey and all these huge companies, Fortune 500 companies would bring her in and say, help us innovate, help us grow. We're stuck in the weeds. She is a salesperson at heart. She was on the phone, like all of us, banging, doing numbers, getting all that stuff. And over these decades, she's become, put it this way, Seth Godin. Do you guys know who Seth Godin is? Seth Godin wrote, and I'm going to quote this, a worthy successor to Michael Porter. Bova's book is a rare gift. She opens the doors for new ideas and new actions. No glib answers here, simply hard-won wisdom that will provoke big changes for organizations large and small. Seth Godin doesn't write shit about anybody, right? But his respect for the woman that I'm going to give you guys as a gift right now is way up here. She was named one of the 50 most influential marketeers on the planet, right? Not male or female, all of them on the planet. So you need to get ready. Your eyes need to be wide open. I need your energy at level 10. I need your energy focused. I need you really paying attention, because she's not talking about how to get a listing or make a sale. She's talking about how do you create this legendary experience that causes clients to come to you. You guys up for that? So, can we give my dear friend Tiffany Boba a huge round of applause and welcome her to the Success Summit? Rock and roll, baby.
Good morning, everybody. So this is awesome, a standing ovation before 10 a.m. All right, well, thank you very much. Have a seat. Well, so let me start by thanking Tom for having me here this morning. It is a pleasure to be in a room full of so many excited people about their career, about their trajectory. And so I'm going to start with a simple question. How many of you love to sell? All right. That was kind of soft. Let's pretend you don't know the question. We're going to do it all over again. Ready? How many of you love to sell? And that is the answer. All right, so this presentation I'm going to give you is going to step you through some fantastic new research that we've been doing about the things that customers are looking for when they engage with people who sell. Now, I happen to work for a company called Salesforce, and so I saw everybody's hands go up that you know who we are. So you know, at the end of the day, we're all about trying to empower people and companies to be better engaged with their customers, no matter where they are in the world, no matter how those customers actually want to engage with them. And so when you think about what it means to sell today, we went on this journey at Salesforce, and we put together a documentary called The Story of Sales. Because I'm sure, like me, when I went home to tell my mom what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I said, I think I want to sell. She went, what? I've spent all this money on your education. I've put you through great schools. I thought you'd go on and get your MBA. Like, you know, I have greater, higher hopes for you. You want to sell? I'm like, I do. Because I love engaging with people, but more importantly, I love the kill. I'm competitive and I want to win. So when you think about selling and the way that it's changed, I'll tell you this. While I have never been a realtor, I think you guys have gone through very disruptive transformation over the last couple of years. With the internet, with Zillow coming into the market, now you guys all love them, but at the beginning you didn't. And as that change has come at you, this industry has really survived. And not only survived, I'd say you guys have really thrived. So if you think about what companies now need to do in order to be successful, I like to say that customer experience is this new battleground. It is where you are competing. You are not necessarily competing with another realtor. You're almost competing with the experience you deliver to your customers on a daily basis. Your prospects, your existing customers, and the broader ecosystem of organizations that you work with. So, I have to do this because we're on film, but anything I say, please make your buying decisions based on what we have today. With that said, the second thing I want to say is thank you to all the Salesforce clients that are in the room. We couldn't do what we do without you. We learn from you every day. We try to make sure we're delivering the things that you want. And so we thank you for your business. So now let me get into this. Customers will remember the experience they have with you much longer than they remember the price they paid. So let me give you an example. How many of you have caught an Uber in the last 30 days? All right, keep your hands up. If you did not have to turn in an expense report, because that's kind of cheating, how many of you remember what you paid for that Uber ride? So 95% of the hands went down. So why is that? You took an Uber ride, you spent the money, you don't actually remember how much you spent. Now, you have two choices. As Clayton Christensen would say in his new book, Competing Against Luck, you have a job that needs to be done. You want to get from point A to point B. You could catch a taxi, you could catch an Uber. Why do you catch an Uber? What's the reason? Sometimes it's more expensive. Sometimes in surge pricing, it's really more expensive. Sometimes you have to wait. I have stood on a corner while it's snowing in, teen-degree weather in New York with my smartphone in front of me, watching taxis go by. That is crazy. Like, just get in a cab. Why don't I get in a cab? Why don't I get in a cab? The first reason I don't get in a cab is because sometimes when I'm traveling around the world, I don't have the currency from the country I'm in. So number one, I don't have to carry cash. Number two, it now connects directly with my expense report system. So I don't have to worry about losing the receipt, turning it in, how much did I spend? It just goes directly in. The third reason is because I do travel a lot around the world, and I like to know that somebody knows where I was last. It's a good thing. I feel like Uber and American Airlines knows more about my life than my family. But I would tell you that Uber knows where I was last. That has nothing to do with the ride. You will remember, was the car smelly? Was the driver nice? Did he take the right route? Guess what those things are? Experience. And you're not remembering it was triple surge pricing and 5 taxis drove by. That's what I mean, that you will remember the experience longer than you will remember the price that you paid. And what is your opportunity? And why is this opportunity showing itself today? Because 80% say that a company that provides their experience is as important, if not more important, than the product they sell. So if you think you sell homes, or office complexes, or duplexes, you are really selling change because someone is moving. It's a big change. So the experience that you give them through this journey has everything to do with what your brand stands for and what your product is. You are your product. So that experience has to stand out. The other thing is that 67% of us actually say we'll spend more money for a better. Oh, look at this Madonna fan. This is awesome. Sorry. And I got the mic. So, sorry, I digress. That was fun. Oh, no. Come on, Tom. I am not dancing. It's before 10. So, all right. Let's get back to work. Okay, 67% will pay more for a better experience. So you have actually told brands you will spend more money. You're going to stay at a Four Seasons. You're going to stay at a Holiday Inn. Same job, place to sleep. Why do you spend more money? The experience. Why do you shop at Nordstrom's? So I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to guess there's probably going to be free coffee out back during the break. How many of you will walk to Starbucks for a coffee? And pay $6? Free, $6. Free, $6. I bet you more of you walk over to Starbucks. Even though the line is long, I heard everybody bitching this morning that the line was long, but you still stand there for your $6 when there's free coffee right out there. You have told the market you are willing to spend more money. And experience is proven to be this competitive differentiator. So I just kind of rattled off a couple brands, but let me sort of dig in a little bit more. The first one I'm going to talk about is we take most of the money that we could have spent on paid advertising and instead put it back into the customer experience. Then we let the customers be our marketing. Tony Heisch, the CEO of Zappos. They sell shoes. Not only sell shoes, but everybody else's shoes. They don't even have their own shoes. So what's the difference? So if you go to work for Tony Heisch at Zappos, they actually have a campus called the University of Wow. Similar to what Disney does, since we're right down the street or on Disney property. teaching companies and individuals how to be better in customer service. So if you're going to get a job at Zappos in customer service, here's what they do. You go through a 6-week rigorous training. At the end of the 6 weeks, they sit you down and say, this is really great. I really appreciate you coming in for the training. I think you've done a great job. We want to offer you a job. Here's a check for $2,500. You can take the check and leave, no harm, no foul. We actually don't care. Take the check. Or we take the check back, and you can work here. Why do you think they do that? Why do you think they do that? Because if you take the check, you're there for the money. And you're going to take the money and you're going to walk out the door. If you don't take the check, why are you there? Because you believe in what they're doing and in the culture and the DNA. You understand that your job is to deliver service exemplary to your customers every single time. That is the difference between somebody who says we're going to do experience and we're not. Of course, the famous quote from Steve Jobs, you don't have to be way out 3 years to know, 10 years to know what's going to happen in the smartphone market to be successful. I just need you to be a quarter or two, half a year ahead of where your buyers are going to want you to be. Anticipate where that's going to be and meet them there. Amazon is brilliant in the sense that they are all about not focusing on the competition, but focusing on the customer. They don't benchmark what Walmart is doing. They want to say, what are our customers telling us in the day-to-day engagements? How do we make it easier, less frictionless? What other products do they want? What are they buying? What should we be recommending to them? 32% of revenue from Amazon comes from the recommendation engine. Stuff you didn't even know you wanted when you got there. And then all of a sudden, I have to have it. Well, if everybody else bought this, I need to buy it. What is it? Then we get to my CEO, I'd be remiss, sort of job security, want to make sure we put us up there. At the end of the day, he is maniacal about customer success. If you're successful using our technology, guess what happens? You grow your business. If you grow your business, guess what happens? You need more software. It's, right? Pretty easy. If you go out of business, you don't need software. If you grow, you need more. We want you to be successful. And then I'm going to end with Ford, because you think of sort of Ford's advertising around horsepower, what kind of car train it has, miles per gallon, how it's manufactured. Now Ford talks about where you can put your iPad. It has a USB plug. It has wireless. Soon, you will be able to be in a Ford driving down the road, and it will say, you know what, Tiffany, it's 2 o'clock. It's time for you to have your chai latte. Because every day at 2 o'clock, you have one. Ford isn't telling me this. Alexa's telling me this, because Alexa's now in Ford. And then I say, you know what, Alexa, it is time for me to get my chai latte. Can you drive me there? Pretty soon, the car will be able to drive me to the Starbucks. Today, it'll pop up the GPS, and I go on my merry way. And then guess what happens? I drive through the drive-thru, and my wallet is now my car. That is the experience. So now you say, well, Tiffany, those are really great examples, but we're in real estate. I bet you could find applicable use cases on everything I just said. You know your client is looking for something. You have it on the app. They're driving by a house that happens to be for sale. It fits their parameters, and all of a sudden the car and Alexa says, hey, Tiffany, if you look to the right now, there's a house for sale that fits your parameters. Do you want me to set an appointment? Yes, I do. How long will it take? We can have someone there in 10 minutes. Do you want to wait? Yes, I do. No human, no human, no human. Car, machine learning, artificial intelligence. Using these connections and applying them to your business models and to the things you do are absolutely available to you today. And the connected experience mandate is only accelerating. This is what they want from you. They want relevant and personal marketing. They want a digital and physical world. They want that engagement of the car now talking to them. I was working with a development firm who was building a new development in another state, and we were talking about IoT in homes. There's a drip under the sink. It notices, a sensor notices, calls out to a repairman, calls the owner and says, hey, we know that there's a leak. We're going to set up an appointment at 10 o'clock. Can we come by? Yes, no, all via an app. No human touches it. That's an experience. So now when they're selling those developments and they're selling those homes, they're not going, it's 1,500 square feet, it's 3 bedroom, it's 2 bath. They're saying it's smart. The experience you will have in these 4 walls is different than the experience you'll have down the street. And oh, by the way, we're charging a premium for that experience. Remember, people will pay more for a better experience. So it is applicable, working everywhere, delivering moments of wow. That example I gave with the car driving by, noticing from a sensor, could be on the for sale sign with an IoT device, gives a call out to the app that's happening for the driver who's in the car, and it's pushing that information out. It's all can happen today. But the only people that can make it happen real time is in this room. You have to be willing to embrace these digital transformations and the things that you can do. But unfortunately, the reality is different. Your customers are saying that, you, the collective you, not you, this room, not real estate specifically, 57% have stopped buying from a company because of poor service. We all remember the poor service. Not only do we remember it, we talk about it. Not only do we talk about it with our friends, but now we talk about it socially. And so what you have when you deliver a poor experience is this ripple effect of it starts to permeate everything else within your business. And it costs you a lot more to recover from bad service than just to spend the money to deliver a great service in the first place. The second is 51% say companies fall short of the expectations. So now let me explain to you what I mean here. We are all consumers in our day lives. We don't walk into work and forget everything we know that we can do in our car, in our home, in our personal lives with the apps on our smartphones. And so when we show up to work, we expect actually a better experience. When we engage with someone in a professional manner, even if I'm buying a home, I want that engagement to have the same kind of attributes that I have in my personal life. I want it to be as seamless as buying a book on Amazon. So how many of you have bought something on Amazon in the last 30 days? Okay, so I remember when there was like 2 hands up. It's just crazy now. No matter, I can ask that. I just asked that question in São Paulo, Brazil, yesterday, literally, and everybody's hands went up. So how many of you took the training to buy on Amazon? Trick question. Don't raise your hand. No training. Why? Easy, seamless. And when you don't deliver that easy, seamless experience, people will leave. Now, why have the expectations changed? Why have we all of a sudden said, doing a direct mailer or dropping off a stack of MLS printouts no longer sort of flies? So I'll give an example. I was just out of college. How many of you, I was born and raised in Hawaii. So who's here from Hawaii? How's it? So I was working at Nauru Tower, which is a big tower in Hawaii. This is many years ago. And I was selling the furniture packages when they were actually selling the condos themselves. We had to send VHS tapes to Asia in a pack. They would watch the VHS tape, and then they would call back and say they'd pick which package they wanted for the furniture and the towels and everything. And this whole process took 10 or 12 weeks. Then we had to get them. It was like a 6-month process. You can do this in about 5 minutes now. So the expectations have changed exponentially because at the end of the day, we used to be reactive. Customer would call you, I'm looking for a home. You go, okay, I'm getting into sales mode. You reach out back to the customer, you respond, you answer their phone calls, answer their emails. You provide them all the information. And it maybe was dozens or hundreds throughout the course of the year, you would have to react to what customers would actually ask you to do. Now the market has said, no, I don't want you to be reactive. I want you to be proactive. I want you to think about doing mailers and trying to stimulate demand. Now you have all these new tools, whether it's email marketing, whether it's search engine optimization, whether it's banner placement, whatever it might be, it became this proactive. Now we've moved to a time where it is absolutely what we call predictive. So when am I going to be ready to buy a new house? When am I going to be ready for a HELOC loan? When am I going to be ready to refinance my house? If you're paying attention and you're my bank, you should know those things. because you should know how much I earn, because you see my direct deposits. You see, do I get a bonus? When do I get a bonus? How often do I get a bonus? You know my FICO score. You know what I'm spending money on. You know what my mortgage payment is. You know who my lender is. Why is it that my bank doesn't come to me and predict the fact that, hey, the value of my house has gone up, I have a little bit more spread, maybe I want to take some cash out? Seems like a logical, predictive opportunity to sell me something. How many of you get that kind of personalized communication from a bank? And therein lies my point. They have the information. You have the information as a realtor as well. How do you take all that data, use the hub, use Salesforce, whatever it might be? How do you take it and how do you deliver to me something that is valuable and relevant at the right moment of time? There's a couple ways you can do it. One is you have to become faster. Now, I don't mean faster and being not thoughtful on the decisions that you make. I just want you to get far enough, right, where you welcome your customers when they come. So we call that speed. But the speed cannot be at the detriment of experiences. You have to think that customers are going to say, I want personalized. I don't want creepy. I want personalized. But I want you to make it relevant. I want you to make me feel like you know me and you appreciate the things I'm doing for you. Because what happens? If you do that to me, now I'm loyal to you. And no matter what I may want in the future or anybody I know, I will tell them this is who you need to go to. So it has to be sort of personalized, connected, and fast. But don't get sloppy just to get fast. So if the next phase is if you're going to do something fast, there's no way for us to do it today at scale without technology. It's just not possible. I have a few friends that are trying to completely unplug for the year 2018, meaning no smartphone. So when I travel to see them, if I'm going to be late or I can't make it, they're like, you'll leave me sitting because I don't have a phone. You can't call me and tell me you're going to be late. I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm like, I guess I can call the bar and tell, like, look for some guy and tell him I'm late. But you can't do it without technology. You have to be able to exploit all the new things that technology is giving you. I don't want you to be afraid of what technology can do. So, with my day job, I get to travel around the world and speak at hundreds of conferences a year. And I hear this a lot. I love Salesforce, but nobody on my team uses it. I'm like, well, probably a waste of money. Why aren't they using it? I think they're afraid of it. Might be one. Two, they might say, I actually think that we all have a bit of fatigue around technology. It used to be it was going to make us taller, thinner, and richer. It won't do that. I've tried for like 20 years. I haven't figured it out yet. But at the end of the day, technology can actually free up time. So last night at the bar, I was having this great conversation, and I told him I wouldn't embarrass him, so I won't say his name and make him stand up. But you know who you are, Michael. Oh, sorry. So we were having this conversation. He goes, I don't want to use the tool. And I said, what if I could give you back 2 or 3 hours a day so that you could actually go meet more customers or sell better or do the relationships that you think are important to you? He's like, well, yeah, but I don't think I can get 2 to 3 hours back because nobody can do it as well as me. And I have to do, and he rattled off the 20 things he needs to do. And I said, I could wipe off half of that with technology. Why not do it? And then he's like, well, no, I just have a junior guy do that, and then I'll go focus on the relationship stuff. And I go, that's not kind of how it works. I can help you on the relationship side as well. And the way I can do that is some of the things that I've been saying. We are in the middle of what we call the fourth industrial revolution, where everything is digitizing, right? Signatures online, paying via an app, sharing bills. buying houses, blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality. Go see a house in Bali and just put your virtual reality goggles on. And your mind will feel as if you were really in that property. So it is moving at this rapid pace. And so what are the things you need to do to be successful using all this technology? I don't need you to understand everything, and I don't need you to figure out what are the things I need to do to make myself successful. I just need you to lean into one thing, and one thing, and one thing. I promise you, if you make a commitment, whether it's using Hub, whether it's using Salesforce, if you make the commitment to use technology different, it will take hours off of the busy work that you do on the transactional side and free you up to spend more time doing what we love. At the beginning, do you all love selling? Yes. Do you want to spend more time selling? Yes. So why would you sit there and do things that you don't need to do anymore and let technology just take it over for you? It's not about replacing realtors. This is about humans and technology. This is an and game, not an or game. With all the data we have, with all the things that are flying at us, there is no shortage of data. Having data for data's sake does you no good. You have to be able to do something with it, action it, get the data, learn from the data, trust the data, and then change your behavior for it. Trust me when I tell you that if you're still doing deals, finding customers, selling homes, mining your base, asking for referrals, anything you may do, if you're doing it the same way you did 3 years ago, you're in trouble. Because that market has moved on. The customer has moved on. We've moved on. It's not how we want to buy homes, not how we want to pay, not how we want to sign. When someone says me something and says, print it out, sign it, and fax it back, I'm like, really? It's 72 pages. It's 2018. No, make it online, let me sign it. And these new interfaces, cars, Alexa. How many of you are using Alexa in the real estate side of your life? Hey, Alexa, how many people should I call today? What houses should I go visit? What open houses are going today? Hey, Alexa, schedule an appointment for me. Hey, Alexa, send an email to Tiffany and let her know that I see the value of her house has gone up X amount of dollars, and I think it's time for her to refinance. Hey, Alexa, what customer told me 2 years ago that they wanted to sell their house 2 years from now? Hey, Alexa, that's the kind of thing you can be doing today. Not tomorrow, not 2020, today. And a lot of this have to do with this change of artificial intelligence. There are 1.4 million of you in the United States. You've sold 5.2 million houses last year. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you make yourself stand out from the crowd? Storytelling is one way. Using technology is another way. Understanding where you can win and doubling down there. Building the right teams. Using the right technology. Using the right marketing materials. Advertising. Spending your money correctly. Hanging your license at the right brokerage. Aligning yourself to the right marketing and salespeople. Yes, yes, yes. But intelligence will be able to tell you actually where you have more opportunity to take advantage of what you have in your current set of customers. I still get 2 or 3 mailers almost a day in my neighborhood. I don't look at them. I don't read them. They go right in the trash. 4-color, glossy, beautiful, lots of work. It's not how I consume content. I happen to have a fabulous realtor who's sitting in the audience, who's my best friend, who I would never think of buying a home from anybody else. So anybody who wants to hit me up, got to go through her. But that kind of loyalty is driven from huge investments in a relationship over a long time. And the way we establish relationships are changing because of artificial intelligence, because of all those data attributes and the things I've just said. And so you have speed, you have technology, and the third piece of this is this customer experience. You are the sum of every single touch point your customer has with your name, with you, with your brand. Every email, every phone call, every mailer, every deal, every referral. every event. You are the sum of all those touch points. So how do you own those touch points and deliver a better experience? It starts with you have to know who your customers are. I don't mean know it in your head. I mean know it in the data, know it in a hub, know it in the system, know it in the CRM. Know it so that you can mine it. People who buy in this particular zip code tend to buy and sell houses every 5 years. I'm making that up. But the point is that would the data tell you that? So then you know at about the 4-year mark, you want to start advertising into that demographic of people, trying to catch them before they sell the house, before some other realtor gets their hands on them. You're going to personalize it. The example I just gave with the bank. Come to me because you know me. Tell me information, from publicly available information, from the conversations we've had, from information you can gather. You create a persona of your customers. Who are they? What do they like? What don't they like? And then be very engaging. Do I want to engage and communicate with you via text message, Facebook Messenger? Do you communicate on Instagram, on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? You can't be everywhere, you have to pick. But these are the pillars of a great customer experience. Know me, personalize it, and be engaging. So I'm going to give you an example. This is Allison. She wanted to buy a Ducati. So she went looking for a Ducati. Pretend it's a house. She was searching online. A year went by. She decided to go into the dealership and buy the Ducati. So now, the moment she bought the Ducati, all that information came with her. So now it says, you know what? I see that you ride on weekends. And in your zip code, there are 4 other people who ride on weekends. Maybe we can put together a little riding club. Hey, I see you like to ride potentially on rainy days. Here's a coupon for a jacket. Hey, it's time. Your bike is telling us it's time to get serviced. Or your bike knows it actually hasn't been ridden in the last 3 months. We're going to sort of prompt you to go out and do a ride. So let me just tell you that this example that I've just given you is a true example powered by us. This sort of following the customer all the way through their journey before they're known. You don't know who this buyer is looking at the house. Then they decide to fill out a form. Now you know who they are. All that information comes with them. Now you can start to personalize that engagement you have with them. Now they buy a house from you. Now you can start to communicate with them through the entire life cycle of the house. Do they need insurance? Do they need a new roofer? You want to be their point of contact. The only way you can do that is if you're capturing the information, capturing the data, mining it, using the AI intelligence to tell you what they want next. So, how do you stand out from the crowd? First thing I'd tell you is, this is an amazing group in here this morning. The first thing you've done is you're committed to your success by coming here and trying to be better. That's the first thing. You got to show up. Now you need to leave here at the end of this week and try to absorb everything you've heard and say, what can I do differently to make myself differentiated in a sea of really talented salespeople? So in the future, customer-driven organizations, you will completely reset what value is in your business. What is valuable today? It used to be, hey, I want to know what my home value is. Now I can find that out in 2 clicks. It may be, I want to sell my house. Can you tell me what everybody else is selling it for in the neighborhood? You can find that out in 2 clicks. It used to be you could find and mine the houses that people may be looking for. It's too easy now. So you have to spend time doing what clients value. So on the left here, you're going to see this is how much time, unfortunately, we spend not selling. So I'm going to go back to my first question. How many of you love to sell? Woo, we do. How many want to spend more time selling? Woo, we do. And this says 66% of your time is not selling. 66% of your time is not selling. It is a bunch of tasks that we, and I say the collective we, meaning the technology industry, can help you solve. But it will only help you solve it if you're willing to do it. So now let's talk about the technology. These are all the things that you do. I got to manage my emails. I got to log all the activities. I have to input data. That's sort of one of the big things I hear. It's just time intensive for me to input the data. You have to look at it like it is a return on your investment. If I enter the data and I enter it once and I enter it right, remember, this is all about me taking advantage of that data and doing something different about it the next day. So if you don't enter the data, you can't get in. What you get out of it is going to completely be tied to what you put in. Finding the right person to contact. Who is my buyer? Who is my seller? How do I connect them? And where you spend little time on is researching the competition, maybe the market, discovering new prospects' needs. This is all the things we want to be doing. But I'm going to go back to 66% on average is time spent not selling. But we all sell for a living. We have to change that. There's no way you can change it if you don't just give in to the fact that you need to use the technology. Now, often what I hear in the real estate industry very specifically is, because many of you are independent contractors and you have your teams and you work for a brokerage and it's my customer, not whomever you work for's customer. So you don't want to share that information because you're worried if you share that information, then they're going to go around you or take your customer. You have to get over it. You have to get over it. If you don't take advantage of it and you don't trust the fact that it is really about empowering you to have stronger relationships and freeing up this time, giving back to you 66%. What if that just cut down 15% or 20% and you were given 15 or 20% more time to sell? I'm guessing you all would knock it out of the park. You need the time to actually do what you do. So how do you do this? How do you amplify the things that you need to do from a marketing perspective? This is what customers are looking for. Video advertising. This is B2B on one side, so the business-to-business side, business-to-consumer on the other. Video, email, mobile apps. Interestingly enough, email marketing is on the rise. When everyone says email is dead, no. Bad email is dead. I call them Friday fails. I get emails that go, "Dear Tiffany," so it's personalized, says, "I think we can totally help you generate more leads for your business." That's the email I get. And I go, they clearly didn't spend 20 seconds looking up who I was, because clearly I don't need leads. I work at Salesforce, don't need leads, I'm good. So if you don't personalize it, then email isn't going to work for you. But if anyone's telling you email is dead, it isn't. It just has to be smart and personalized. So where do your customers go? This is where they go. It is still very much now a digital business. They're going to go to the internet. It's where they're going to go first. So what is your brand? What is your personality? What do you put out there? What are your customer testimonials? Do you have video? Are you letting your home buyers tell your story? We are masterful at letting our customers tell our story. And so that is really where it's going. So this email marketing is about email plus. You need to think about it across an entire platform of multiple touch points, including email, not just email. And so it is a multi-pronged approach. Some use the term omni-channel. It's just about making sure that it is this collective, holistic view. So if you just sort of fire over the bow, a couple emails this month, and then next month you're going to fire out some video advertising, and then that didn't really work because you gave it like 2 days, and then you tried something else. Like, you have to let the wine breathe. Like, just let the idea breathe. Let it take hold and change what you're doing. And so I will tell you that if you are your own seller and your own marketer, then have this conversation with yourself. If you're not, and you have people in your office who are marketers, you need to get better in alignment. Are those mailers that homeowners get on their doorstep in the mail every week, are they working? If you're not aligned with marketing and they're not telling the right message and you're not giving them the information that they need about your customer base, then the marketing will just continue to miss the mark. You have to get aligned with your marketing activities and your sales activities. And you may say, there's no way, I don't even separate the two. I don't look at them differently. Like, what I do is I'm a seller, but I'm also a marketer. We got to find a way to make you a better marketer, because we've all agreed that we're sellers. You got to be a better marketer. And so improving the likelihood of your success, here are the 10 sales technologies that are driving this change. I'm going to go back to artificial intelligence. So let me just explain a simple example of what AI is. If you're typing into Google and you want to say, real estate coach, and you're about halfway through real estate and you've typed in the word see, and it starts to fill in for you, that's AI. It's not some hidden guy behind the Wizard of Oz curtain. Simple usage of AI is happening every single day in your life, and so don't be afraid of it. We just have to find a way to apply it into your business. So AI, marketing automation, don't do it manually. Let the system be smarter for you, and take over those tactical tasks so that you can go back to selling. Take back some of that 66%. So the future is already here. You have to be smarter about your growth decisions. Listen, it's getting harder. It's getting harder to grow as a small business. It's getting harder to grow as an entrepreneur. It's getting harder to grow as a big enterprise. It's just getting harder to grow. And the reason is because customers are becoming far more finicky about who they choose to give their money to. They vote one time with their wallet. They vote again and again with their loyalty. So if you take their money once and they never come back again to you, you have failed them. So you have to be smarter. You have to establish this customer-centric, outside-in view. Think about Jeff Bezos. It's outside in. What does our customer want? And we may not always be right. Listen, he's not always right. The Fire phone wasn't right. I mean, there's a number of things he's not right at. But for every 100 things he's not right at, he only has to be right at one of those that build out billion-dollar businesses year after year. You got to try, fail, iterate. Let the people on your team know that it's okay and they're safe if they fail. Give them permission, give yourself permission to try things that may not work. You need to redefine the relationships. How are you working with title companies, banks? How are you working with other firms, other realtors you meet here in other states? How are you referring business back and forth? How do you start to partner differently with different kinds of companies? Are you advertising in the right place? Where should it be? Is it on the side of a taxi, back of a taxi? Is it on a website? Is it at a gym? Where are you going to go? You want to redefine those relationships. You need to think about the people side of this. This is all about what I've just said. This is all really uncomfortable people stuff. You used to do it this way every day. Now I want you to do it that way every day. Think it's January 1st. It's time for your New Year's resolution. It's January 9th. I'm done. I'm waiting for next year's New Year resolution because I'm finished. Change is hard. And so especially for those of you who have been doing real estate for a long period of time, you're like, I've always done it this way. It's worked for me. I've always grown my business. My customers are happy. I have a healthy pipeline. My funnel looks good. Okay. Others of you are like, listen, I've been doing this a long time, and I want to win tomorrow and double my business. If you want to do that, you have to think about the people, the process, and the technology. And then you have to use the data that you have. Please use it. But you have to enter it to use it. So you have to make the effort. You need to enter it. You need to mine it. You need to use the intelligence. And then become much more predictive, personalized, and proactive in reaching out to your customer set. So I will tell you that when you start to drive towards this personal engagement, selling becomes much easier. In real estate, it's a little different. It's always been about relationships. It's never been a transaction in that way, like selling a PC, very transactional. Real estate has always been about relationships, but you can't scale relationships if it's so much of a human touch. You could only handle 5, unless you have a bigger team, right? 5 customers at the same time, or 5 open houses, or 2 open houses. And once you get to that, you add more people, and you add more people, and you get further and further away from your customer base because now you're managing people, and you don't know what's going on the relationship side. So you have to find a way to keep the relationship tight without always saying, I have to add people to do that. Let technology take over some of it. So hands down, I will tell you, if there's not anything I haven't learned over the last 2.5 years of being here at Salesforce, is your best Salesforce, 2 words, is your customers advocating on your behalf. If they're telling your story, fantastic. If they're out there saying, this is the best realtor I've ever worked with, it's my best friend happens to be my realtor. I don't know if that ever happens, on the norm, but at the end of the day, I'm highly loyal. And I would tell anybody who was looking for a house that that's where they should go. We trust personal interactions. We trust people referring us business more than anything else. You know this much better than I do. So think about that your greatest sales force is your people. So now think, your customers, so now think, how should I use those relationships to advertise for me? Maybe they do a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post or an Instagram and tell their story about working with me. It's so much better than you standing there saying, I'm the greatest realtor. If you work with me, I'm going to make your life perfect and the house sale will be seamless and listen to me and trust me and you don't know me versus, wow, you know, I was really in a bind and my realtor stepped up for me. And you feel this connection like someone has said, a true example and reference. You could not pay for that kind of personalized connection with a customer. So I hope that you found this informative. I hope it has made you take a new look at how you view customer experience, how you use technology, the things maybe you can lean into after you leave this event. The fact that you're here means you're committed to your success. And I just want to try to help give you back 15, 20, 25% of your time by just thinking about how can you change your mental model on how you've done things in the past. And I know that some of you coaches were given a copy of my book, but as Tom was holding it up, I've got a book literally publishing next week, Tuesday, called Growth IQ. It sort of steps through a lot of the things that I've been talking about and how you can organize your thinking and your mindset and double down on ways in which your business can grow. But you know, I just want to personally say thank you to Tom Ferry and the entire Tom Ferry team for having me. The Success Summit has been something I've been bugging him to try to get to for the last couple of years. So I really appreciate your attention, and I think we're going to bring Tom out. But thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany Bova in the house.